Abraham Lincoln was one of the world's greatest statesmen and leaders, and he served as the 16th President of the USA. His is a story of grit, determination and decency. So let's hear about his life. Abraham was born in 1809 into a poor but respectable family in Kentucky. They lived in a single-room log cabin, and his father Thomas worked as a farmer and a carpenter, while his mother Nancy kept house and raised Abraham and his sister Sarah. Neither of his parents could read or write, so it was unusual that Abraham showed an early interest in books and learning. He didn't go to school as there was work for him to do on the farm and no schools nearby. Did that stop him? Of course not! He taught himself to read and write and often had his head in a book rather than working in the fields. Tragedy struck early when his mother died of a sudden illness, but his father remarried a good woman who he came to love as a mother. By 17, Abraham was a tall, strong man of 6'4". His father wanted him to work on the farm as he did, but Abraham had other plans. He left home, moved to New Salem, Illinois, and took a job in a general store. He knew he wanted to be a lawyer, and with the help of books he borrowed from an attorney, he qualified as a lawyer all by himself and joined a law firm. How's that for motivation? As a lawyer, he soon became known for his clever speeches and wise arguments. His personal life? He was wise in private too. At 33, he married Mary Todd, who was from a good Kentucky family. Together they had 4 boys, but, more tragedy I'm afraid, 3 of them died before adulthood. Abraham had a strong sense of public duty. He wanted to serve his community, and on a second attempt he was elected to represent the people of Illinois. The main issue of his time was slavery. The southern states wanted to keep it, and the northern states did not. In 1858, Lincoln stood for the US Senate against Stephen A. Douglas, and the 2 men took part in a series of 7 debates around the state of Illinois, known as the Lincoln-Douglas debates. These were massive media events, and people came in their thousands to watch the 2 men argue about slavery. Douglas was for it, Lincoln was passionately against it, and by the end of those debates, people all over the country knew Lincoln's name and what he stood for. 2 years later, in 1860, Lincoln ran for president and on November 6th became the first Republican president thanks to the support of the northern states. No southern states voted for him at all. About a month later, the southern states split from the USA and set up the Confederate States of America. When they attacked Fort Sumter in Charleston in April 1861, this was the start of the American Civil War that lasted 4 bloody years and cost more than 600,000 American lives. A year later, the Emancipation Proclamation abolished slavery and freed 3.5 million enslaved Americans. While the war was still raging, Lincoln gave one of the best-known speeches in American history at the cemetery in Gettysburg, Pennsylvania. He reminded people that the US was a country dedicated to the idea that all men are created equal, and that the dead soldiers had given their lives for a noble aim. A government of the people, by the people, and for the people. After the war ended in 1865, Abraham Lincoln planned to help rebuild the United States. But his life was cut short when he was assassinated while out at the theatre with his wife by John Wilkes Booth, a Confederate sympathizer. Abraham Lincoln's life showed us that anyone can achieve greatness, but it requires dedication and hard work. His remarkable story, from humble origins to greatness, shows us the values of dedication, hard work, and fighting for what is right. We thank you, Abraham Lincoln.